From the heart of the Silicon Valley, welcome to another Tech Closeup. I'm Mark Albertson, and we are now at the Computer History Museum in Mountain View, California, sort of a digital warehouse of decades of computer technology, as well as a great chronicle of all of the innovative minds who thought all these incredible technologies up. Wonderful technology stories. Hey, that's what Tech Closeup is all about. In this month's program, we'll venture into the exciting new world of haptic technology, where you can not only see what computers are doing, but feel them as well. And Christina King shows us how a basic software program keeps the older generation mentally sharp and technologically savvy. Let's face it, computers are such necessary parts of our homes and our work. I mean, we live with keyboards and mice and screens. That's how we tell computers what to do. Well, what if you could not only see what the computer is doing, but you could feel what the computer is doing too? Sounds a little crazy, right? Well, at a Silicon Valley firm called Immersion, feeling is believing.
Now when you press 1 or 3, drive yourself off the road, and you'll feel the bump.
Oh, wow, you can feel a bump in the road.
Exactly.
This cell phone reaches out and touches you. So does this video game steering wheel, this car radio control knob, even this medical simulator. So if I actually touch the wall,
run into the walls,
I'm going to feel it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can actually, it's like there's texture to it. Immersion, a Silicon Valley innovator. It's developed technology that adds a new dimension to all those high-tech bells and whistles. It's added the sense of touch.
By adding touch to every product at the beginning, we end up producing a more satisfying and a richer experience for the consumer. And as products are going from manual and mechanical to digital and electronics, this feedback becomes not only nice to have, it becomes essential for some of these new products to come to market. So that when you're interacting with a digital electronic product, not only can you see and hear some of the cues that you might be seeing on a screen, you can feel what you're doing.
For instance, this cell phone lets users replace ringtones with custom vibrations. So you can feel who's calling.
This way you can feel who's calling while the phone is in your pocket, and decide if you have to exit the room real quick, if it's your wife, it's your doctor, your business partner, or just let it ring and go to voicemails.
Or send a phone message from the heart, an instant message with custom vibrations.
So for example, if you know many teenagers with cell phones, they're sending instant messages to each other on the cell phone. This allows them to send an emotional message.
So instead of a little cartoon,
a happy face,
you can have a sound.
Exactly right.
So that's a heartbeat.
It's a heartbeat. That's for I love you.
Who came up with that idea?
Well, our engineers in developing the technology also developed the ideas of how you could use haptics as a communications mechanism to actually communicate information that you otherwise wouldn't be able to communicate.
Feels like my phone is alive. You know, it's the heart's beating.
And that's the whole idea.
Some automakers, like BMW and Volkswagen, have added immersion control knobs that vibrate or jitter, a touchy-feely way for drivers to change stations or find phone numbers without ever taking their eyes off the road.
So as you push down on this knob, you will see that it changes how it feels each time.
There's low.
Yeah.
A little bit heavier in vibration on medium. Oh, and it lasts longer, and it's more more firm vibration when it goes to high.
Very important when you're driving a car from a safety standpoint. They want your eyes on the road. They don't want your eyes on the screen.
It's called haptic technology. It started out as military science. The first sensors, about 16 years ago, were crude and expensive, but they literally touched a nerve.
What you see here as you grab this joystick is that if you go into this blue circle here, It's simulating a can of paint, for example. If you stir around in a circle like you would a can of paint, you can feel the viscosity.
Oh, it's getting thicker.
Of that, exactly.
Yeah.
This is an example of how we simulate the physical world in software using very powerful but low-cost motors and actuators.
How hard is this to do this?
Well, it's quite difficult. What you see there is early work, sophisticated as it is, resulted from about a dozen PhDs in mechanical engineering and robotics working together for several years. Since then, we've spent 12 years refining the software and the electronics and the motors that are necessary to produce these very same sensations, but instead of a box that might cost $10,000, we're able to do this in a cell phone, or inside of an automotive dashboard, or inside of an ATM, where you need to be able to do this for 25 cents or 50 cents or $1. So you're talking about some very sophisticated software and some very precisely designed electronics to create these sensations.
The key advance, Immersion's found a way to deliver the sense of touch through glass.
And just press the buttons and you'll get a sense of what you feel.
So as I dial the number, I'm feeling a vibration.
Absolutely. So we're simulating here mechanical buttons. One of the biggest problems with cell phones that have touchscreens, and more cell phones are going to come out with the touchscreen as the only way to input data. They're going away from keypads over time because they're too expensive and they want to be able to have a screen that's reconfigurable. The problem with a touchscreen is it's flat. You can't tell whether you press the button or not.
I know.
By adding our vibration technology, you get instant confirmation that you've pressed the button. So it makes the efficiency and the accuracy when you're dialing a phone number go way up. The trick that we pull off is the screen is actually moving back and forth laterally, but very rapidly and for a very short period of time. And it creates the illusion of the button being pressed in and out. And that's the result of 12 years of accumulated R&D, 600 pending and issued patents. We've done a lot of invention to be able to essentially create this illusion.
Some of that R&D helps train tomorrow's doctors. This simulator teaches how to safely snake a camera down the throat. Medical students learn how it feels if you're in the wrong place or if you push too hard.
What's critical here is that they're able to see a replica of what's going on inside of the patient, but also be able to feel exactly what it feels like to be navigating through that portion of the human anatomy. We can simulate that to the degree that they can't tell the difference between the simulator and the actual human patient. And that's the acid test. Everything else comes down from there. In a racing game on a cell phone, you don't need quite that level of precision, but the very same technology is used to create those sensations. So we're able to get very precise simulations of what it would actually feel like in the real world.
You might soon feel immersion technology in your car as computers control more brakes or transmissions. Drivers will no longer feel the real thing, but they'll have to feel something.
When you hit the brake, you want to feel that resistance, depending on how hard you're braking and how hard the brake shoes are actually being pushed against the brake pads. Once they go to drive-by-wire, you won't be feeling that directly. You'll be feeling that through a simulation, and that'll be created using our technology.
They might even stitch touchy technology into your clothes.
So you're walking down the street and you're trying to find your local McDonald's or your local Starbucks. You've put in the coordinates into your cell phone, and by tapping you on the shoulder left or right, when you get to the corner, the haptics is telling you which way to turn.
Technology touches us in different ways, but if Immersion's technology takes off, you may never feel the same way again.
These hands hold tight. These hands love. These hands support. These hands create. These hands save lives. To empower your hands to help make a difference, call the American Heart Association at 877-242-4277 for a CPR class near you. These hands are wise.
We've never been introduced. You wouldn't recognize me in an elevator. We enjoy different sports.
But if you ever need it, I will give you my blood.
When you help the American Red Cross, you help America.
The first case of HIV/AIDS was identified 25 years ago.
Since then, 25 million people have died.
5,000 people die daily.
The fight against this disease still hasn't produced a cure.
So why should I care?
Because of the future.
Because of the past.
Because of friends.
Because of strangers. Because I'm a fighter.
Because of the children.
Because of every voice. Every person.
Because it could be me.
Brings us that much closer.
So, why?
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 Why should I care?
Because I do. Join the fight.
It's time for Fast Forward here on Tech Closeup, where we get to learn about the latest in the industry, and we have some fun stuff to talk about today. And here to educate us is Rob Enderle, as always, a noted industry expert who keeps us up to date. And we are talking today about ultra small computers. Do good things really come in small packages, and are they necessary?
Well, that's kind of it. It's the fact of the matter is for a lot of years we've had these huge machines with a lot of air inside. We've now realized that we can take all this stuff, cram it down to a much smaller package. You can put it back up on your desk as opposed to underneath your desk. You know, on top of your desk it's cleaner. You can get to stuff more easily. I mean, yanking down underneath your desk and putting in a CD or a floppy drive or a USB drive is really a pain. This puts it up on top of the desk and makes it much handier.
I mean, these are like the size of a Webster's dictionary. They're like a book.
They very much are. In fact, we've got several machines here. Let's start with the Dell, which is actually the largest. What's kind of cool about this, of course, is this.
That's what I love about it. So
I just think that's pretty cool. Brings your ports up front, makes it very easy to access. Very. If you look at it, very clean designs.
Yeah, it is very sharp.
Logoing on the side. But it gives you an idea of what the ports are. This has all the ports that a regular PC has. This one's actually a media center, so it actually allows you to plug in your cable TV here, so you can record your program. So there's nothing this box has that you couldn't get or you wouldn't have on a much larger machine. It's just a much smaller form factor. Very nice engineering design.
And then next to it is a smaller one, but it doesn't offer as much, does it?
This is the Hewlett-Packard. This doesn't have the full media center experience, at least not in this configuration, but it is a bit smaller, a bit more compact, also a little bit less expensive. This one's around $1,000. This one's closer to around $800, so a little bit less expensive, but it doesn't have a lot of the features.
Well, now we
jump back up to $1,000 because we get much smaller. This is the XPC by Shuttle. Once again, it has all the media center features, or at least most of the media center features in the back. Provides your S-video out to plug into your TV, and the rest. In this particular case, you'd have to go with an external tuner, but it is a media center box.
An external tuner, what would that run you if you were interested in this and you wanted?
Probably about $100 for the tuner on top of it, and this one's a little bit more expensive, about $1,000 for this one. But this also has much like this does, high-end graphics, so you can actually play video games on this puppy. So it's a very nice box.
Very important.
By Shuttle. Now, to give you an idea of the size, this is an Xbox. This, by the way, is a special Xbox. This is the developer's Xbox, which is why it's black, and you don't see them in black very often. But if you look at the size,
I can't believe how small.
It's actually larger than the XPC.
Well, I guess just slightly, but
it's a slight large, and so just get it size. The PCs are getting as small as a game system.
And do you think that this is what's driving this? I mean, are people demanding that things get smaller, or
pretty much it makes it much more portable? I mean, it came out of Asia. In Asia, they've got very small cubicles, very small spaces. They want very small computers to go in their very small spaces. Now, if you really want to get tiny, this is a machine that's actually made in San Francisco by a bunch of folks out of Apple. This is a full Windows XP machine.
Wow, look at that.
You've got your full keyboard, your screen. This is by OQO, but full Windows XP that you can almost. I didn't check my pocket. It won't fit in this pocket, but in some of my shirts.
We could stuff it in there.
Yeah, we could. It would make me kind of lopsided. But it's good. And this will play videos. This will play games. Not great video games, but certainly you can play solitaire and stuff on it.
You know, that would come in handy on the airplane for sure.
It's great for watching movies in an airplane. Battery life's a little limited. Costs about $2,000, so it's not cheap.
Okay, well that could be limiting. Yes.
Yeah, and you don't want to leave this around. You figure you're going to get shot if you leave a $2,000 device around. But pretty small, pretty cool.
Okay, good, Rob. Really, thank thank you so much. A lot of information here. So if you want to check into it further, all you have to do is go to techcloseup.com, and we'll give you all the details on these ultra small PCs. Thanks for joining us. This has been Fast Forward.
Anybody find my cell phone? Where did I put my... Oh, you know what happens to your memory as you get older. Well, I'm not exactly a senior citizen yet, but for folks who've reached their senior years, it can be a challenge to stay mentally sharp. Well, we found a Silicon Valley company that's developed some unique software to help the elderly improve their mental skills. Here's Christina King.
A computer, mouse, and headphones. These are the latest tools in fitness? Okay, not the kind of fitness you're thinking of. This is brain training.
Well, at this stage in our life, we want to do anything to keep our brain working.
Mary Ward is one of about 24 seniors in her Millbrae, California assisted living center who get regular brain exercise.
Click on the tall postal worker, then click on the gift store, and then click on the short doctor.
They do it using a specialized computer program created initially for children. A company called Posit Science eventually developed the mental fitness software for seniors when they discovered something interesting.
This product was used widely in school situations to help different children with their dyslexia. And one of the byproducts of going through this computer-based program, which is not so dissimilar from what we're doing here, is that they had a better memory coming out of it, which was not necessarily one of the expected outcomes. So here pops up Posit Science. So the program's been changed and it's been adapted, and we're targeting, I guess you could say, a different age range as far as the user is concerned.
One of those users is Pat Crowley, who's finding that the mental fitness workouts are sharpening her memory.
I think it's a very good thing, especially for people my age that start forgetting things, because I know I remember things a lot better since I started the course.
How does it work? Mostly through sound. Some exercises ask the user to distinguish between high and low tones. Others ask you to remember a series of demands and then respond to them all at once.
Click on the bank, then click on the tall postal worker, then click on the blonde girl.
The hour-long sessions can be challenging, but the results keep everyone coming back for more.
The current recommendation is an hour a session for 5 days a week over the course of 8 to 10 weeks or 40 sessions.
Mary Ward is taking the 8-week course a second time. She's so encouraged by the results.
And especially talking to people, having them speak to you, I find that I'm paying more attention and not drifting.
The biggest comment that I've gotten from pretty much every single person who's taken the class is that they focus so much better now.
The brains behind Posit Science Corporation comes from a global consortium of brain scientists who helped develop, test, and refine the exercises. With their work, they found that people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond can really turn back the clock.
I was actually a part of this company when we were doing our initial studies, our initial internal studies. And I actually worked out in a community, Rossmore, which is near Walnut Creek, if you're familiar with it. And this is back when we weren't sure how or if the program worked very well. And we were running a number of people between the ages of about 60 to all the way to 100 plus through this program in an adult learning center. And I can say that anecdotally that we saw big changes in these people. We saw people come into the classroom, sometimes maybe a little foggy-eyed and maybe a little bit aloof, and come out of it at the end of their 40 days being a lot sharper. In some cases, maybe the change wasn't drastic. In other cases, maybe it was very noticeable.
One of the problems with that is that it's accepted. That as you age, there is going to be decline. Okay, but at Posit, we don't believe that. Okay, we are pressing the accepted notion that the things that occur with aging are inevitable and cannot be reversed. So we have had several studies that have shown, for one, decline is not inevitable. That people who are 80 plus, 90 plus can perform at the same level as somebody who's 30 and 40.
And that's encouraging for people like Pat Crowley.
Every day, the computer pushes you to do better, And even though you're frustrated, you want to do better, and then you realize, I am doing better. And then at the end of each little segment, they tell you if you've done better, and if you get a little medal, you're so proud of yourself.
It was wonderful to see. Felt like we've really made a difference in their lives by providing this for them.
The mental fitness programs may have other applications in the future.
Dip.
Right now, Posit Science is involved in a pilot study to find out if people who've had a traumatic head injury can restore some of their cognitive ability with the exercises.
Put it over the blue part right here. Yeah. Look at that. That's just today.
And studies are getting underway focusing on Alzheimer's patients. Posit Science is working on building on its hearing-based model to include visually centered functions as well.
Our goal is to help the brain outlive the body, to help people stay sharp and vibrant up until very, very late years in their lives.
Maybe our bodies can't continue at a youthful pace, but science has proven our minds can, with the help of a few fitness tools. I'm Christina King for Tech Closeup.
This is fine. Thanks.
There's a place where a total stranger will give their blood to save your life. There's a place where someone you never knew will save your child from drowning. A place where people will give you food and shelter after a flood. There's a place where, when you need it most, someone will reach out their hand, put it across your shoulder and say, everything's going to be okay. That place is called America, where we look out for each other. And it's up to us to keep it that way. When you help the American Red Cross, you help America.
Well, when you're at the Computer History Museum, chances are you're going to find a computer somewhere playing chess. Well, that makes a perfect tech bite, because this whole exhibit right here is all about how the game of chess has played a significant role in the evolution of computer technology. And nobody better to tell us about that than Dag Spicer. You are the curator of this exhibit?
Sure, correct.
Well, then you can tell us all about computers and chess. What's the big deal about chess and computers?
Right. Well, computer scientists in the 1940s and 50s, when computers were just being developed, wanted to find a way to test computers to see if they could make them somewhat simulate human behavior. So they chose chess as a problem because it has a very defined set of rules, but it also has a lot of possibilities. So it's easy to explain, to program a game, to play a basic game of chess, but it's very difficult to make it actually play a very advanced game of chess.
And now you've got several different examples here. Take me around here. What are we looking at, and what does this have to do with this challenge?
Right. Well, why don't we start at the end of the quest, which has lasted about 50 years, and that is IBM's Deep Blue supercomputer. And this was a massively parallel computer, which in 1997 actually defeated Garry Kasparov in a historic rematch in Philadelphia. Garry Kasparov was the reigning world chess champion, and IBM built this computer over a series of almost a decade, specifically with the goal of creating a computer that could beat the best chess player in the world.
This tower beat a human being at a very tough game, and beat the best player in the world.
Correct.
Why did IBM have to devote all that effort to prove you could do that?
Right. Well, a lot of people wonder why IBM sort of tackled this problem, and in the initial stages, chess was believed to have a lot of applications in business and in the emerging sort of change of computers, of powerful computers, to parallel architectures, that is, computers with thousands of processors versus just one. IBM spent a lot of time on this problem, I think largely out of prestige. If they were able to pull it off, it would really be a coup. There'd be a definite halo effect for IBM. The fact that you can build a machine to defeat a human in what's kind of an arcane game, although everyone knows chess represents intelligence, is actually a real plus for IBM. If you can build a computer that can win in a game that sort of equals intelligence, then that looks good for you as a company. The reason we have these chess displays is because they show you the evolution of computing power basically from the start of the microprocessor era. So there was a point where computer scientists were having to use multi-million-dollar machines to do their research on chess. When the microprocessor came out in the early 70s, probably about 1980 or so, they were cheap enough to be embedded in devices. So what you see here are actually a series of chess games that were prepackaged, self-contained, standalone, great for Christmas or birthday presents. They embedded within them a lot of chess strategy and moves, again, sort of at the level of a good high school player. None of these would defeat a master.
Garry Kasparov would beat these in a heartbeat.
Yeah, even a good, national level player could wipe these off the face of the earth. However, there are games now. These are from the 70s and 80s. There are games now that you could buy software specifically rather than actual bundled games that can defeat pretty well all but about 20 players in the world, and you can buy that for $30.
Fascinating history. Dag, sorry to be metaphoric here, but thank you for being a pawn in our little tech bite here at the Computer Museum.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot going on in this high-tech world, and it keeps us pretty busy too. Well, you can keep up as well. You can get a list of all the stations that carry Tech Closeup and the times they broadcast our show on our website, techcloseup.com. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Levinson, and remember, if you want to stay close to all the technologies that drive this incredible high-tech world of ours, well, then join us next time for another edition of Tech Closeup.